Duenas joins us now on the show. Good morning, Senator.
Day. Good morning, Chris, and to the KUM team, Joe, sir, and everyone, and to people of Guam. I kind of have to do a subdued, Viva Mess tomorrow, just because it's been so hard to deal with. Condolences to the family of Angel Jaden Duenas. I read the story and I've heard you talk about it, and it's very, very difficult. And pray for his family and pray for our island. It's a darn shame. Any loss of anyone is a darn shame, but this is really, really it hit me personally very strongly.
Yeah, totally preventable.
Chris, I'm glad you had Governor Calvo on. If I can just talk about this real quick, other than pending legislation and some other things. We don't need stiffer laws. We need law enforcement. Yesterday, Chris, we had a SES meeting on update on finances and all the, respective agencies to report on the economic outlook. Money's falling out of the pockets of the government right now. $60 million surplus tracking. All this federal dollars in, ARP and the like. It's not a money issue, and it's not a law issue. It's an issue of will. And I'm calling on the chairman to do what he can do of public safety, and that is at least write a letter to the governor.
Oh, wait, who is the chairman of public safety, Senator?
That is Pito Talai.
Oh, okay, so today he is the chairman, but then on other days it's Senator Frank Blas, right? Because Senator Pilo is conflicted on certain issues.
Yeah, whatever, right? The entire committee.
Yeah.
And a letter, right? Say, look, what in the hell are we doing? The governor talked about Mandania Task Force, and I remember you, Chris, asking candidates in the last election, and there was a lot of vacillation from certain candidates on trying to tiptoe around, the value of drug interdiction. Mandania Task Force, because I staffed a lot of those meetings with the governor, they had a multifaceted mission, but the first mission was drug interdiction. The first mission was to get out there and get it done. Get as much of that junk off the streets as you can and try to stop as much of that trash from coming into our island to destroy our families and our people. Was it perfect? No, but it was a hell of a lot better than what's going on right now, which is basically apathy and just standing by and watching it happen. And it's unacceptable, Chris. The legislature doesn't need to appropriate money. There's money falling out of the sky. The laws are there. We need the will, Chris. We need the will to step up and get it done. And that can only happen from the executive level. Yeah. The legislature cannot deputize themselves and go out there and, get in the Crown Victoria and go start, raiding houses. We can't do that. We can sure push the issue.
Yeah, but you're right.
This comes from the top.
You're calling on the public safety chair, Senator Pito Talai, to write a letter to the governor, right? But he could have also at any time during the last however many years had maybe an oversight hearing on the Guam Police Department. I'm not sure why he wouldn't, just to kind of figure out where are we with this meth. I don't know. I feel like people want to know, and I don't understand how the legislature has created these circumstances where you have an actual chairman of public safety who is so conflicted that depending on what day of the week he can't be the public safety. How do you guys let that happen? And then when you look at the crime that is drowning us here, the drugs that are killing our children and our families, and there's this crickets. There's nothing out of the public safety chair. He hasn't so much as come out with a release about crime.
But Chris, that's why I'm saying the biggest power that a chairman has is to basically call out the administration, because the actual purpose for an oversight hearing, yes, it's to get information and ask tough questions. But it's primarily designed because the legislature's duty and responsibility is to provide funding. It's to provide for laws in case the laws aren't there. I agree with you, Chris. I'm equally as outraged. But what I'm saying is, even if we hold oversights, and I'm not trying to give an excuse for anything. I would hold oversights. But the only thing that it's really designed to do is to find out what is needed and how can we help. That's the duty and responsibility of the legislature. But when you're a chairman and you're calling out the administration saying, do more, that's what it comes down to. It's the voice. It's the noise making, right? Yeah. That's the deal. But we could have an oversight once a month. But if it doesn't come down to resources and funding, if it doesn't come down to, can the legislature recruit and get officers on the beat? Can the legislature go out there and procure drug dogs? Can the legislature doesn't do that. It's the policy making body. It really does come down to execution. That's what we're dealing with here, Chris, but I don't disagree with you. Yeah. I say make all the noise you can.
Yeah, Senator. I mean, I just feel like they haven't, it's been years, right? I mean, and are you of the thinking that Senator Pito, because of his son's link to former Mayor Jesse Blas, who was, involved in bringing crystal methamphetamine into our island and poisoning our people, do you think that Senator Pito is just too, because that's pretty close to me. I don't understand how there hasn't been a recall of his position as the public safety chairman, because it's clear either he has no desire to be a public safety chair or there's something else going on, like corruption. I just don't understand it, but I am uncomfortable with his connection. Well, it's weird to say his connection to his own son, but his son's involvement in the case of the former mayor. Right. And there was even a hearing where he was specifically asking about his son's case on the session floor. So when you talk about write a letter to the governor, I agree. Yeah, letters are great. Ask Senator Moylan. But I feel like if he's not even doing the baseline, what, a senator should do, because, yeah, the letters are great, raise awareness, call it the administration. But we need to have some answers, in a hearing type setting. And I'm just I don't know. Do you think that Senator Pito is just too conflicted to do that?
I can't speculate on the majority's decision to divvy up committees. That really has to be internal to their capabilities. I don't think it's productive to speculate. You've put it out there. Whatever it is, right? Yeah. But inaction is what it is. And you're right. When I know it sounds, you're right. Ask Senator Moylan about letters. But the thing is that's what raises the awareness, right? If you draw attention to the fact that as a chairman and as a body, we've had enough and we want more action on the executive side, then yes, and like I said, I'm not going to speculate about the majority's decision and how they handle, their internal, that has, we don't have any say in that. We have operational say in our caucus, and that's it. But that really is something that we have to defer to the majority and how they made decisions and how they split up the committees.
Yeah, I'll just say the Guam Police Department, and I would also say the Port Authority of Guam. These are two huge entities that I feel like their oversight chairs have just checked out. There's no oversight at all.
Well, in the face of what we're seeing, it's hard to deny that. In the face of what we're seeing, it's hard to deny that. It would be one thing if the problem were small, yeah. But this problem is huge. And so, yeah, you can't just wake up every day and act like it doesn't exist. And so, yes, you're absolutely right. That's what it comes down to. And it's not even about the person, right? It's about the position. Because in any legislature, regardless of what majority or what minority exists, it is always going to be the committees and the committee chairs that it's going to come down to on, where is the position of the legislature. And that's just the truth. This is not personal. It is the function of the legislature. And right now, you're right to call the fact that inaction exists and lack of attention exists. There's no question about that.
Yeah. I don't want to rub my cockfighting friends the wrong way, but I just, again, public safety chair, you to me, there's just got to be a standard, There's got to be a standard. There shouldn't be any question on the integrity of a public safety chair. They shouldn't be running around, with cockfighters or whatever. Especially at this time, you're right. Because it's not like we're okay and everything's fine out here and la-di-da-di, we like to party. Things are very bad. And I feel like they warrant and require some type of action from our public safety chairs, because there's two of them. There's also Minority Senator Frank Blas Jr., right?
Yeah, certainly. And I know that, look, Senator Frank Blas has held hearings in absence of any conflict.
Right, yeah.
He's doing his job. He's doing his job when called upon, because that's one of the primary reasons why he is a member, and I think was a wise selection in terms of conflicting out. I mean, if for some reason in the majority I was given a chairmanship where from time to time there may be an issue, I mean, that's a decision I would have made. Hey, I'm going to get myself a vice chair that's going to be specifically assigned to something that may have an appearance of conflict for me.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to say, hey, first of all, I'm going to talk to the individual and say, are you willing to accept this position? Yes. Let's be clear. I'm going to call on you from time to time that you're going to be the individual responsible for this. But it's still the chair. The chair has to say, hey, chairman on whatever, subcommittee I've put you on, I'm asking you, and do it formally, I'm asking you to conduct a hearing.
We saw that with the whole red Jeep Jerry's Kitchen thing, right? Because Senator Pito was conflicted because it was granddaughter or some family member. So it wasn't just with his son. I mean, I don't know if it runs in the family or what, but it's been a couple times where he's had to be like, okay, I'm too close to this. I got to step aside. Senator Frank, you're in.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, the deal is the deal, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it is what it is.
You put people in place, and if you put them in place and you feel like you need to have an oversight on this issue, you feel like you need something that needs to be done, you do it, right? Yeah. But if it's not done, it's not the co-chair's responsibility. It is the committee's responsibility. It is the head of the committee that, regardless, whether it's finance, whether it's whatever else it is, it is what it is.
Well, I hope their ears are burning, and I hope they, schedule a hearing or do something. 740, Senator, I know you had some other things you wanted to talk about, pending legislation.
Yeah, if I can.
Yes.
If I can, real quick, something along the lines of this issue. I mean, of course, it's far removed, but we think it's one more step. I'm very proud of Senator Tony Atta having introduced Bill 12336, and hopefully it will make it on the docket. It's been cleared in terms of its committee report. What this does is it essentially says that if there is an announcement within any government agency, notwithstanding any other provision of law, that there's going to be drug testing, and you go into HR and you submit your resignation, you must also submit to a drug test. Otherwise, you forfeit your reinstatement rights. And, I think what's appropriate here is at least it's another tool in the toolbox, saying that, it puts on notice individuals who have great jobs, who have good benefits, who have a lot of security, that there should be a zero tolerance policy in government. And so the fact is that in this initiative here, I think we've seen this a couple of different times, where as an individual, there will be an announcement of a drug test and somebody will submit a resignation, and then 2 months later, they're back on the job. And, that's a loophole we can't have. Taxpayers of Guam are the ones who pay the bills. And the bottom line is that, if that situation exists and, you're going to use a loophole, well, the loophole is going to be closed. And so I'm very proud of Senator Tony Atta. There's many co-sponsors, myself, Frank Blas Jr., Joanne Brown, I believe, fellow Taitagui, Clint Rigel, and I believe Sabina Perez is also, Senator Perez is on that bill. So it's a very good bill. I'm basically giving the highlights of things that I think are of higher importance. Everything looks pretty reasonable on this docket for session that will start on Friday. The other thing is, Bill 213, I'm calling on, Senator Rigel to please report that bill out and put it up for a debate. This is very time sensitive, Chris. This bill is dealing with the need to get a waiver for the construction of the 41 megawatt power plant down in PD that's going to augment the power plant that is proposed and has been awarded for construction up in the Ukudu area. This is huge, Chris, because the bottom line is that if the contractor cannot proceed, because they have the inability to have the standby power and the generation placed in PD, that contract could be in jeopardy, Chris. And I'm going to tell you what, I do not want to be one of the members of this legislature that's holding the bag if that contract falls through, and we have years and years and years now to go back to the drawing board and build a state-of-the-art facility that will save ratepayers money by bringing in new technology and retire all that crazy old bunker fuel technology. And if anybody has a problem with the contract and wants to continue to call out the contract, then go after it legally. But if you don't have any legal reasons to take this, then don't stop the issue that we need to be able to construct the power plant. And that includes a standby 41 megawatt generator down in Cabras. If there's members of the body that don't want to vote for it, don't vote for it. Put it on the floor, debate it. I'm willing to make sure that we have a committee of the whole as well. If there's any questions, Chris, the PUC in no uncertain terms, as well as CCU, basically said to the legislature during that hearing, the ball is in your court. The possible failure of this new construction of the power plant is hinged to first the financing bill. Actually, the financing bill primarily was to give rate relief. And we may have already lost millions of dollars on that because it took so long to get that bill going forward. But this other one really is a deal breaker for the construction of the new facility. And I'll tell you what, if it won't be moved, I'm going to try to get the votes to pull it out of committee and put it on the floor because it's that important. And if we don't have the votes, well, everybody can stand up and be counted. But I'm not going to be one that stands in the way on, of getting reliable, affordable power to people of Guam.
Senator, can you speak to the SES meeting yesterday? You said that it's raining down money.
Yeah. So during the SES meeting yesterday, I basically took a side-by-side with regard to our current funding, current tracking of our fiscal year 2022 budget. And it really looks like there's currently a $60 million surplus on the side of the general fund. There is about an $11 million shortfall on the special funds. But even if you just take away that 11 million, you're still looking at about $49 million in surplus. Now, the two major areas where that is, Chris, is it's in corporate, which probably is associated with the Trump tax cuts, because that corporate rate is still at the level that under President Trump that it came down. This was the discussion on how the economy would recover, because it took the corporate rate, I believe, all the way down from 29% to 22%. And gave corporations a lot more resources to be able to reinvest into their companies. It probably gave them the ability to hire more people too, because it's also in withholding. Withholding has about a $5 or $6 million increase. The BPT, Chris, is probably still in the area of 14 or 15 million. And that's where the administration wanted the full authority, was under BPT. Good thing we didn't do that, because I don't mind that we're tracking a $49 million surplus. The fact is, it's divvied up between a lot of different areas. So if we would have given a BPT straight away 50 million additional for this fiscal year, then technically there would still be a deficit, because it would only have been in the BPT area. So I think the legislature has acted well, even though this surplus continues. But there's certainly, I was a little concerned too, because it seems like there's about 5,500 tax returns that are awaiting payment. They've been, according to the report, it says that they're cleared and awaiting payment. And with our cash position, I asked, Director Shimizu to please give us an update as soon as possible, because we also did put in an additional $20 million from last year's budget to make sure that tax refunds could turn around almost immediately, 30, 45 days. And so we're going to await some additional information, but really there should be no reason why any cleared tax refund should be awaiting payment with our cash position. So I think those are the highlights of it. Tourism, looks like there's, a really good plan inching upwards. It looked like the basic thing now is probably just reopen Guam for sure, end the public health emergency. That's a little bit of marketing for my resolution to end the public health emergency, which I hope the speaker holds the hearing on soon. It went to her committee. And so end the public health emergency, open up Guam, and keep our economy rolling. It looks like it's all going to really count on exactly what Mary was talking about the other day. It's going to be about seats, airplane seats.
Yeah.
And it looks like those airlines are really trying to tick it up. But I think, honestly, they're waiting on us.
All right.
So that's really something that, if we backfill and do as good or better than what's predicted, we should be able to manage the federal fund downturn, hopefully with the increase in tourism. So that was the highlights to me. Oh, another thing, federal spending, unprecedented is what Department of Labor said. 1.1 or 1.3 billion dollars, I believe, either currently or projected within the entire or the next 2 quarters, which is basically the balance of this fiscal year. Huge money being spent on contracts. Probably another reason why withholding's doing so well. Department of Labor said in the next several months we're going to need an additional 1,500 workers. So people of Guam, if you need a job, try to get to Trades Academy or whatever else, skill up if you can, because we're bringing in people to continue to help make sure that in the next 4 to 5 years, they can realize the military construction along with outside the fence construction. That was my takeaway.
Thank you, Senator, for your time this morning. Good talk.
Hey, Chris, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. And to the people of Guam, let's just keep praying, right? But while we're praying, let's get her done. Thank you.
Right on. There you go. That's a good one. While you're praying, get her done. Do both. Thank you, Senator Chris Duenas. He's the minority leader. Quick break, and we're coming back with Wear Your Crown. This is an awesome event. They had an EPOW over the weekend. We've got